Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana braja ranjana. Yashoda Nandana braja ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalasanji, Radha Kalasanji, Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Kalasanji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. If we can all recite the invocation verses together, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisance to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, under Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta preyasha abreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of prayers to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart is almost completely destroyed, and whose service unto the Spirit of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental sounds establishes an irrevocable fact. Om Gantimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Maliyatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. So the topic for today is the place to be is wherever Sankirtan is going on. Right? Amazing. So I really want to dive into this, and so I'm going to take a little. Anyways, we're just the verses that are suggested are 9 through 24, but we're just going to switch to go right to 21 through 24, and get right to the. And you can have a little homework if you want to read the rest of the verses, which are very nice. I just want to really get into this. So, if somebody would please read text 21.
Since the human form of life is a sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. How wonderful is it for these human beings to have been born in the land of Varsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharat Varsha, to execute devotional service, but these human beings are already engaged there.
Okay. Who's talking, Dustin? Who's speaking here?
Light switch.
The light switch is... I'm a little confused.
Turn on the light for me, please.
Turn on the lights for you? Well, on text 22, the first sentence says, or the first three words, 22.
Oh, the devas, the demigods.
Demigods are speaking, yeah. Because we skipped a little bit, so I thought it would be good to realize who's speaking in this context. Okay, text 23, please.
22.
22, yes.
The demigods continue. After performing the very difficult tasks of executing Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, undergoing austerities, observing vows, and giving charity, we have achieved this position as inhabitants of the heavenly planets. But what is the value of this achievement? Here we are certainly very engaged in material sense gratification, and therefore we can hardly remember the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. Indeed, because of our excessive sense gratification, we have almost forgotten his lotus feet.
So, for us who haven't grown up in this culture or this understanding, quite often we have an understanding of how wonderful it would be to go to the heavenly planets, right? Like, gosh, I really would like to go into a place that's nicer. But right here, the demigods are saying, nah, this isn't the case. Actually, we are in the heavenly planet and we want to go to Earth. Let's find out why.
A short life in the land of Bharadvarsha is preferable to a life achieved in Brahmaloka for millions and billions of years. Because even if one is elevated to Brahmaloka, he must return to repeated birth and death.
Oh.
Although life in Bharadvarsha in a lower planetary system is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Krishna consciousness and achieve the highest perfection even in this short life by fully surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus one attains Vaikuntha Loka, where there is neither anxiety nor repeated birth in a material body.
So why do the demigods want to even take birth in this middle planet? It's the choo-choo expressway train going back to Godhead quickest. We're doing it. Okay, 23, please. Thank you. I'm sorry.
An intelligent person does not take interest in a place even in the topmost planetary system. If the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there, if there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yagna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yagna is recommended in this age.
Okay, let's go to this verse and do the Sanskrit, please. Okay. Nayatra Vaikunta Kada Surapaga. Nayatra Vaikunta Kada Surapaga. Nasadvo Bhagavatas Tadasrayaha. Nasadhavo Bhagavatas Tadasraya. Nayatra Yagnesha Makamahotavaha. Nayatra Yagnesha Makyasmo Mahotasavaha. Shuresha Loko Pinavasa Sevyatam. Shuresha Loko Pinavai Savsevayatmam. Bolo, please. Rock, paper, scissors. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Nayatra Vaikunta Kada Sudpaga. Nasadvo Bhagavatas Tadrasrayaha. Nayatra Yagnesha Makamotasva. Shushesha Loka Pinavai Sasevyatam. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudapaga. Nasadavo Bhagavatas Tadasraya. Nayatra Yagnesha Makamohotabaha. Shriyesha Loko Pinave Sasevatam. Nayatra Vaikunta Kata Sudapaga. Nasadhyavo Bhagavatas Tadasrayaha. Nayatra Yagnesha Makamahotava. Shresha Loko Pinavai Sasevatam. Nayacha Vaikuntha Kada Sudapaga. Nayacha Yegni Shamaka Mahotava. Shuesha Loko Pinavai Sasevaya. Vaishnav, where's your Bhagavatam? Would you want this one? No, you're good? Okay. I was a little surprised to see you without it. Okay. Before we go into the translation, is there any words here we recognize? Which one? Sadhavo. Oh, okay. This is what's Sadhavo? The devotees. Vaikunta. Where else? Kata. This must be something pretty amazing, right? Vaikunta Kata Suda. So we got Mahotsava. Mahotsava. What's Mahotsava? A celebration, a festival. What was it? What was that? Heavenly planets. What was that praying? David. Yeah. This is quite the verse right here, huh? Nah. Okay. Okay, together, please. Na, not. Yatra, where. Vaikunta kada sada apagaha. The nectarine rivers of discussion about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's called Vaikunta, or one who drives away all anxiety. Na, nor. Sadavaha, devotees. Bhagavata, always engaged in the service of the Lord. Tat ashraya, who are sheltered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na, nor. Yatra, where. Yagna isha makaha, the performance of devotional service to the Lord of sacrifices. Maha Utsava, which are actual festivals. Suresha lokaha, a place inhabited by the denizens of heavens. Api, although not by certainly. Report by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. An intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities do not flow there. If there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of petty, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yagna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yagna is recommended in this age. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the land of Bharat Varsha, specifically in Bengal, in the district of Nadia, where Navadvip is situated. It is therefore to be concluded, as stated by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that within this universe, this earth is the best planet, and on this land of Bharat Varsha is the best. In the land of Bharat Varsha, Bengal is still better. In Bengal, the district of Nadia is still better. And in Nadia, the best place is Navadvip, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared there to inaugurate the performance of sacrifice of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Jai. I was really thinking about in the Nectar of Instruction, we have the explanation of Krishna Lila, right? Like Shama Kund, Radha Kund, and so Srila Prabhupada has given this amazing purport of the levels of Navadvip, right? Okay. We're just going to move on from the Sanskrit. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by his very confidential associates, such as Nityananda, Sri Gadadhar, and Sri Advaita, and by many devotees like Srivas. They are always engaged in chanting the names of the Lord and are always describing Lord Krishna. Therefore, this is the best among all places in the universe. The Krishna consciousness movement has established its center in Mayapur, the birth site of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to give men the great opportunity to go there and perform a constant festival of Sankirtan Yagya. as recommended herein, Yagnesha Maka Mahotsava, and to distribute prasad to the millions of hungry people hankering for spiritual emancipation. This is the mission of Krishna consciousness movement. Chaitanya Bhagavat confirms this as follows. One should not desire to be elevated even to a place in the heavenly planetary systems if it has no propaganda to expand the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No trace of Vaishnavas, pure devotees of Lord, and no festivals for spreading Krishna consciousness. It would be better to live perpetually cramped within the airtight bag of a mother's womb, where one can at least remember the lotus feet of the Lord, than to live in a place where there is no opportunity to remember his lotus feet. I pray not to be allowed to take birth in such a condemned place. Yeah. Similarly, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, anyone who performs Sankirtan to please the Lord is very, very glorious. Such a person has perfect intelligence, whereas others in the ignorance of material existence. Of all sacrifices mentioned in the Vedic literatures, the performance of Sankirtan Yagya is the best. Even the performance of 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices cannot compare to the sacrifice of Sankirtan. According to the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, if one compares Sankirtan Yagya to other yajnas, he is a pasandi, an infidel, and liable to be punished by Yamaraj. There are many Mayavadis who think that the performance of Sankirtan Yagya is a pious activity similar to the performance of the Asvamedha Yagya and other such pious functions. But this is Nama Aparad. Chanting the holy name of Narayana and chanting the other names are never equal, and despite what Mayavadis think. Wow. Right? I thought I'd take a minute to just appreciate Lord Chaitanya, who appeared here only 500 years ago. I mean, when we think about that time is infinite, the millions, billions of years that this earth has, this universe has been in existence, 500 years ago, like nothing. Like it happened 2 seconds ago. And so, being so in proximity of that event, that Mahotsava, we are feeling we're getting the mercy of it. And that mercy that Chaitanya was giving us was the Sankirtan Yagya. So in Srila Prabhupada's purport, he mentions Asvamedha Yagya, which means it's a different kind of sacrifice. It's done by even Indra, who is the boss of the heavenly planets, the demigods. But here Srila Prabhupada is saying even that yagya has nothing compared to Sankirtan Yagya. This pious activity is nothing to do with this transcendental activity. So when we talk transcendental activity, we're talking about an activity that is happening in the spiritual world. Isn't this amazing that we are doing right now, have the opportunity right now to do something that's being done in the spiritual world? This material world has so many faults, right? So many disturbances. And yet this one boon that is so amazing that we can do things that are being happening in the spiritual world right now is actually a little bit like we actually can't understand it to a certain degree, you know? It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Really? Is this going on in the spiritual world? Yeah? Really? Really? Well, that's Krishna consciousness. We're going through the process to really understand, wow, I am participating in something that is completely transcendental and that is literally happening in the spiritual world, and everybody is just so joyous. What is that? singing, dancing, and feasting. Srila Prabhupada says, he mentions prasadam, and we're talking about Sankirtan or chanting Hare Krishna. And then it said that in the spiritual world that every step is a dance and every word is a song. Prasadam. Prasadam is food that's been sanctified by the Lord because it's sanctified because we offer it to Him. We say, hey, I've cooked this. Matter of fact, you've given me really all facility to make this, to cook this, to buy this. So before I take in it, I'm going to say a prayer and say, you please eat first. And then Krishna will accept it, and that food becomes called prasad or mercy. So we are in this movement right now, the Sankirtan Yajna. The best of sacrifices. We're in it right now. It's mind-blowing that we have an opportunity to participate in the most glorious sacrifice. And Lord Chaitanya is encouraging us. Well, actually, what I'll do is, I think it'd be nice to define or understand what is Sankirtan, right? What is this Sankirtan Yajna? What does Sankirtan mean? Anybody have any? It's quite diverse in what we can understand as Sankirtan. So, what are you guys' understanding of Sankirtan, or what do we understand?
Congregational chanting of the names of the Lord.
Congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Anybody else? Yes. Spreading the glories of the Lord. Speaking Srimad Bhagavatam when we come together to speak on the pastimes of Krishna. That is Sankirtan. We're coming together to glorify the Supreme. Vishnu Bhagavan Prabhu. Selling Srila Prabhupada's books. So when we are putting others in touch with Krishna, that is Sankirtan. When we chant Hare Krishna, we're doing Sankirtan because we're bringing Krishna and Radha together. We're encouraging them. Hare Krishna. We want to see Radha and Krishna together. It's pretty amazing. So it seems simple at first, right? But the activities of the Sankirtan movement are very diverse. And it's really a beautiful thing. It's encouraging others to know Krishna, right? So we're a Sankirtan movement, which comes down to sharing Krishna with others. Sometimes this is called the P word. What's the P word? Preach. Oh my gosh. Preaching. Oh wow. But preaching, I've dealt with people who preach and they tell me this and tell me that. But really, preaching should be a word that we're very comfortable with because we should understand really what it is, and it is Sankirtan. It's just getting people in touch with Krishna. So I would like to do a little activity, if you guys would be willing to. And that activity is, I'd like you to close your eyes you don't have to close your eyes, but just think for a little while. What is it that you might fear about preaching or sharing Krishna with others? Because sometimes we have these fears. How can I be a preacher? How can I tell people about Krishna? So there's two things to think about in this, or two perspectives. What is it that I fear in preaching? Or maybe I've gotten over some of those fears. I've experienced them and I've overcame them to a certain degree by the mercy of the devotees in Krishna. And so if you can remember in the past a fear that you might have had and you've overcome. So if you have a fear, or if you've overcome a fear, just I'll chant Hare Krishna in the mic while you guys think about it so that we can keep Katha going on. And then, what we'll do is we're going to share some of these things. And as a team, we're going to think about how we might overcome those fears. Or we're going to hear from people who might have had that fear and they said, oh yeah, I did like this. So it's like a little exercise, a team exercise, if you guys would. My Sankirtan. Okay. Please take a minute to think about it. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. What is that? You think about, I'm going to share Krishna with somebody. And there's a thing that maybe pokes you. Say, but if this if that happens, I'd be really scared. That might I'm not comfortable with that. So I don't know if I should share Krishna with others because I'm really being vulnerable. You continue to think. What I thought I might do is, this can be, by the way, this can be a vulnerable spot, right? We're kind of sharing our heart here. So I thought I would go first, and in the encouragement that we can share and hear from others. And so one thing that really has been a fear in my preaching that I've noticed over the time isn't so much with people that are new, it's actually with my peers. Because I really am not good with Sanskrit. It's really tough for me. When I was a kid in high school, 11th grade, the teacher would go paragraph to paragraph and you'd read in class. And I would read and I'd literally be crying because reading was so tough for me. And so over time, I've actually had to memorize the English language. I'm not very good phonetically. So when I try to do Sankirtan, it's very tough. It's very tough. I'm getting better at it. But it was really tough for me because one thing that I've learned about my vehicle, my body, is that internally I got a pretty strong vehicle. Like my engine's really good. But my body and my wheels are maybe like a big clunker, So it's like you imagine a vehicle that's like a clunker, but it's got like this revved up engine. So mentally and internally, I'll read Sanskrit and I can it's and I'll understand things. But when I try to speak, sometimes my body, it goes, and this is just part of my vehicle. So I've realized over time, it's I just have to deal with it this way that my tongue just has this difficulty. Anyways, I'm overcoming it into some ways, but it was something that, okay, the point is that one of the ways that I've been overcoming it is I decided, well, I can take responsibility and know the English of verses. So when I would read and try to memorize Sanskrit verses, I was having such a difficult time that I would just quit, basically. It was this is too tough. But then I started thinking about it wait a minute, that's not okay. And so what can I do? And so I would memorize the verses in English. And so I've been doing that for a little while, and it's actually really much easier for me. And it's actually helped my confidence in preaching because I'm knowing more of what Krishna is saying. So I thought that I would, I'd share that. Anything that you guys would like to share, or if maybe you have a comment on that, maybe you have some insight on what that might be. Because that's what this space I kind of would like to see is I have something to say about that, some encouragement, or have you tried this or something like that. Mishra Bhagavan.
In Mayapur, Navadvip, most of the people that are born there aren't very happy with it. The people who like being there are foreigners, people like us that read statements like this about how great it is. Go there and take part in Sankirtan and become purified, and are very enlivened by going to the Dham. But the people that live there, though, they're always complaining about being there, and they're constantly asking us for sponsorship to America. And how is that? Why is it that it's not? They don't see the benefit of being there when they were so fortunate to have been born there.
Can you help me understand this in the context of fear in preaching?
Well, it's in context to what you were reading about.
So we'll do
best
questions
place,
and
Bengal, better than
gotcha.
Nadia.
So if you wouldn't mind, Mishra Bhagavan, I wanted to, if we could have some space for this exercise, and then we'll get to questions like that. I really want to hear if there's some people out there that have some fears about preaching the Krishna consciousness movement and how they've overcome. Would that be okay? That we can save questions like that? Thank you, Prabhu. Premamrita.
Hare Krishna. First, I'll respond to what you said, Nanda Braj. I think that you're a great preacher and you don't have to recite Sanskrit to be a great preacher.
Thank you, Prema.
Sometimes it can help in some cases for some people. I know Ajit was really impressed when someone was preaching to him and recited Sanskrit. He shares that sometimes, but myself, not impressed. And you have heart, and heart is usually what people hear.
Very kind, thank you.
And I would say, I guess for me, like when I go out on Sankirtan, it's always like an initial, like I just have to jump in. I have to convince myself to just jump in. Once the jump is made, then I can, I'm swimming. Like it's like in Florida, we have a lot of springs and the water's really cold. So you don't just like tiptoe in. You have to like get on the dock and run and work yourself up and jump in. And once you jump in, you're swimming around, you're splashing, you're fine, you're not too cold. That's how it is for me with Sankirtan. But to make that initial jump is always the scariest part, just because you never know what kind of day it's gonna be on Sankirtan. Sometimes it's like a really good day and you're getting yeses and nice donations and everyone wants a book. And sometimes like people are saying no, people are thinking that you're weird for even asking, they're rolling their eyes, or they're just like making you feel like you're not worth the ground you stand on. So yeah, I guess that's always like the initial fear is like, oh, is it gonna be one of those days?
So there's some vulnerability in going and telling people and how they receive you. And they could receive you with no's all the time. And that can be, am I hearing you correctly? Any suggestions on, the fear that when I share Krishna consciousness, people don't want to hear about it, or might even be a little bit rough? Any thoughts? Anybody have that situation?
You have somebody? I mean, I think she already kind of answered her own thing. You kind of just have to jump in. Yeah, you have to break the ice. I haven't found a way for the ice to not be there. The ice is gonna be there at first. I don't know. Probably if you do it really long time, consistently for years, maybe the ice is less there. But I think there's gonna be a little bit of ice. You just have to break. It's kind of like a cycle. It's like with the first good interaction you have, you feel a little bit more confident. Then another good interaction, you feel a little bit more confident. And then the more confident you are, the more likely you're going to have good positive interactions, and it kind of builds up on that. And then, anyways, that's been my experience.
Priya.
So a couple of things. Yeah, that's usually the biggest thing is that devotees have a hard time with is rejection, because you're all enthusiastic and you're going out there to help people. And you're like, this is the best thing. This is going to make them happy. We're going to save the world. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. And then you approach somebody and they're just like, no, get out of here. Go get a job. I'm not interested. You guys are nuts. Whatever, right? So that can be hard. So two things that I think helped me anyway, is one is just being a little detached and just understanding that a lot of people are going to say no. Just accepting that a lot of people are going to not be interested. And I took a lot of solace from the pastime of Krishna when the cowherd boys are hungry, and Krishna tells them, go ask the Brahmins who are performing sacrifice to give you some food. And the boys go, and they're like Krishna's eternal associates in Braj, going out and asking for something that Krishna told them, and they get rejected. And then they go back and they're just like, Krishna, we tried, and they just totally ignored us. Actually, that's the worst thing. If someone says no thank you, that's okay. It's when you walk up to them all smiley and fired up and like full of compassion and they just totally like stonewall you like you don't exist, like you're not there. That's the worst thing. So that's what happened to the cowherd boys. And they went back with, feeling really, despondent. And they went to Krishna. They said, they just totally ignored us. And we even said your names and everything, and still they didn't care. She said, anyways, it's like that. When you go to ask for some donation and things, some people say yes, some people say no. That's just the way it is, So that's one thing. The other thing that helps with dealing with that is that go with a group. Because if you go on your own and everyone's just rejecting you, you're just feeling rejected. But if you go with a few other devotees, then it's like, okay, they ignored me, but these people love me. I'm accepted by, people who I value. So these ignorant people may reject me, but these people who actually have knowledge and know the higher values of life, they accept me and I have them. And these people might scowl at me, but they're going to smile at me. So it's okay. I have my people. So then, kind of balances, counteracts the negativity.
Thinking about just like because you mentioned the cowherd boys, and like you think about them, like somebody fails in something, and the other boys are just like, "Hey, you're okay," It's so nice thinking, you have a team around you that's encouraging. Such a good point. Yes, Prima.
Yeah, I really like that point. It made me think that's why it's so important that we have nice relationships with the devotees around us, because the material world is brutal, and if the material world is brutal and then our relationships with devotees are also rough, we have no shelter. So we need to make sure that we offer that shelter to the devotees around us, and that we surround ourselves with devotees who offer that in return.
Please.
Yeah, because of my Kali Yuga brain, I just want to address the elephant in the room here. The elephant in the room is devotee relationships. So a lot of times we have people that are willing to organize, to get, a venue, get flyers, get books, get flowers, things to hand out. And they go to all this trouble, but yet there's no relationship between them and the other devotees. The relationship is very strained, cold, distant. And I think it was Premamrita or Mother Prabhupada Priya. Mother Prabhupada Priya said just in her last comment that, well, if I get rejected, that's okay, because I'm with some other people that do love me and do understand me. But wait a minute, it's like Premamrita just said, what if the other people that you're with, they really don't love you and don't accept you and judge you?
Wow.
So then what?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You get hit outside and you get hit inside. So beautiful point, Mother Kunti, is like if we have, so the fear, there can be a fear that if I do find rejection, I don't even have solace at home. I don't have solace with the people that my community or my friends or family. So it makes it even double tough, because you get rejected one place and you still don't feel, you still feel rejected at your home. Wow. I was thinking, there's a couple of things that I've done. One thing is that just the intelligence that Srila Prabhupada has given, that people are covered in different ways. So some people are covered in a way that they won't be able to touch a book. There's some people that are covered in a way they can touch a book. There's some people that can open a book. There's some people that can take the book. And our job is just to try to do the best that they'll give us, And so if somebody can't, if somebody just ignores us, I'd like to say a prayer for them. Just be like, Krishna, that's your child. Please love them, And it's such a small thing, but sometimes small things done often make an impact. And we don't know the impact that we're doing for that person, but at least I know that I'm making an impact on Krishna in saying that I love your children. I love every one of your child. And so even if they tell me no, I still pray for them. I still ask you to bless them. And, that's one point. Or if I can't get there, I'll go back and I'll just say, Krishna loves me, Krishna loves me, Krishna loves me, Krishna. And I just say it 100 times, 10, 15, 20 times until I go, oh, Krishna loves me. He didn't judge me on the fact that that person said no. Krishna loved that I am trying it. A couple things. Yes, Drista, yeah, you had your own note a while ago. Sorry, I didn't.
I'd say my main fear is kind of trying to take care of someone who's newer, or trying to guide them and kind of take care of them, show them the ropes and stuff. And yeah, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it takes gallons and gallons of blood. It takes a village and stuff like that. And so a few times I've seen that those people might turn on me, and they might criticize me or say terrible things, or they might it might seem like in the end they've just kind of blooped and they gave up everything. And I was like, what was the point of those 6 months of trying to help this person? What was the point of all this? Because it's just screw you, I'm going back to the material world, or oh, you're this or that. So that is and was a fear and a blockage that I.
What have you done to overcome that fear?
Well, I've gotten some advice that, of course, our philosophy says, nothing is lost, and that, every time they even chant it one time, it's their eternal benefit. And also that, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy to help others, everyone would help others. But, it's Prabhupada's mission, it's Prabhupada's legacy, and so even if it's hard, we still have to do it. We still have to try.
I was appreciating your sincerity in wanting to help people, because that's a Vaishnav quality, is that compassion, that they left. And so we're not lamenting for the body, right? We're feeling compassion that this person is on their way back home, back to Godhead, and now they've decided to take a little, or not a little, maybe bigger. Anyways, they take a wrong exit. Go ahead.
I guess I'll share kind of another part. I was at this one festival one time, and the people there were just intoxicated out of their mind, and no books were going out, and I got really frustrated, and I was I don't care about these people. If they don't want Krishna consciousness, then good for them. I'm happy with my Krishna consciousness. They can just go to hell or whatever. And so sometimes I do feel that way, but still do it for Prabhupada. Even if you aren't compassionate, even if you aren't feeling it, just do it for Srila Prabhupada.
Any other, Ephraim? You have something?
Well, I have an example of something that happened not too long ago. Because I come from a real deep Baptist background, so when I go back home to visit my family, they're very so you go to church? And I'm I would always say yes. And they're well, what church did you go to? And I'm oh, I go to First Baptist, so, just because I didn't want them to say anything, because they're real quick to judge and stuff like that. And But then, like, not too long ago, like maybe like a few, no, probably like holiday or something. Like I was there, and then one of my uncles, he's very deep in like, well, all my family back there's, I'm from West Texas, from Midland, so everyone there's very conservative and deep Baptist, and they're like, we're at the dinner table at my grandma's, and they're like, so I see all those tattoos, and they look like you're very like spiritual and stuff like that. Like, are you worshiping all these other gods and all this stuff? And I'm like, I'm just like, everyone's just staring at me at the dinner table, and I'm like, what? Like, oh my gosh, like, what did I say? And I was like, well, I like what I like, and it doesn't bother anybody. And I go to the temple. Yeah, it's a Hindu temple, and I like to go there. And you do what you do, and I do what I do, and I'm not judging anybody. And that's it. And they're like, so what do you do? And I go, I go there and I meditate, and everyone there is real nice, and they care about me. And if I don't go, they're asking about me, or they'll message me on Facebook. And when was the last time y'all did that? I don't even hear about y'all like months. And they were like, okay, so let's go ahead and eat. So it was kind of like I'm not judging y'all, so y'all can believe whoever y'all want, but y'all can believe in what y'all want, but I believe in what I want.
Wow.
And just kind of it just went like, we changed the subject, they changed the subject, and they just went like that.
So your fear at first was, how would your family receive you? How would the people around you that are close to you, if you told them about your dirty secret that you go to the temple?
Yeah.
But you will, by the way, there is an intelligence of, how do I protect myself and others from bad situations? So sometimes fear in this case, to a certain degree, is good. But then you, over time, got comfortable where you overcame it to a different degree. So this is a really good example of somebody who, that fear was good, but after time of growth, then your intelligence comes in a way that you can share in a different way. And that's what Krishna consciousness is a lot about, is that we have fears that at time are okay. But then we grow as people. We change. And so then, that change brings up times and occasions that we can make a step even closer to strengthen our identity as a follower of Krishna. I was appreciating, even you were telling me the other day about how your family was like, your mom. You're telling me your mom is like, wow, you're so peaceful right now. Don't you usually have a really stressful time in your life right now? And she was telling you about how peaceful you were. Is that right? You want to say something about that, or
it's just because like, with work, like usually this time of the year, because of the state fair, like it's business kind of slows down, I guess. And it's for me and some of my colleagues, are like, we always notice, like, because I'm a hairstylist, so this time of year always slows down, and we're like, what's going on? Like, oh, everyone's spending their money at the fair. So then I start stressing out, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna be homeless, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm calling my mom, like, Mom, I've been so slow. And then this year I've been like, nothing. I'm like, have you been slow? Like, yeah. Well, you haven't called me and stressed out. I'm like, I don't know, I'll be fine. And yeah, before I would be just stressed out and just like panicking and like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And now I'm like, okay, whatever.
I love this story. It really like shows how practical Krishna consciousness is. We don't have to over endeavor in anything. We can live a life as devotees, and that's Sankirtan. Your mom has even noticed something different about you. What's going on? And right? And who knows where the questions will come after that,
And then that's been like, I've been in Dallas since 2004, and I've been stressing out every year since then.
Jit Prabhu.
In response to that, I just want to quickly share my experience with my family, especially with my mother. She was really resisting the whole thing at first, because I was actually enrolled for teachers college. So she was all excited. Oh, my son's going to be like a high school teacher, going to be so successful. And then I dropped out after a week and I went to live in an ashram. And yeah, she was really resisting at first. I remember the day I called her and I told her I shaved my head. She started crying.
Oh no. Now she's coming.
She thought I was in a cult or something. But over time, she became more and more favorable, and she came for my initiation, and she was so happy, and the devotees treated her so well. And now she's coming. She's flying from Ottawa, Canada. She's coming here for like a few days. She's on November 16th to the 20th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's seen the transformation and she's so happy for me. So it's all about leading by example. That's the main thing. And just being a servant to them. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. So I was thinking about the different fears. We can have the fear of people we don't even know rejecting us. We can have fears of the people that we love and what will they think, right? And then we have the people that we even practice with and what will they think. So one of the strongest things that I'm really hearing right now is because of these fears, we really should try to take some responsibility to care for each other, so that when we do get punched, when we get scarred, that we have a place of solace that we can come back to, that we have people that will hug us, that will tell us how much they appreciate, not because we want our ego, but because we need the help. We're in this together. And my last comment is that Srila Prabhupada was sitting with the devotees, and there was a small child. Her name was Sarasvati. Her name is Sarasvati. But she was a small child at the time. And Srila Prabhupada said, Sarasvati, who's Krishna? And she said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said, Srila Prabhupada said, she's a perfect preacher. Can you imagine that? That all these fears that we have, that Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us, just tell people that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything will come from there. So whether we're brand new or seasoned over so many times, there's a place for us in this Sankirtan movement. And Krishna wants us to gauge in the Sankirtan movement. He loves it so much when we share about him to others. And so, if you really want your heart to glow, if you really want to feel happy, then share Krishna with others in whatever way you can. And if you have some fears, talk with some other devotees. Say, hey, I have this fear. Because what we're doing here is we're talking about fears are real, but there's things we can do to overcome them. And our friends and our community members and our seniors, who are also our friends, can help us overcome these things. Because sometimes our fears look so big to us, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this fear is so big. But then we talk to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, just do like this. Oh, whoa. I could just do like that. And I could please Krishna in that way. And that's what devotee association is encouraging us to do, is to take the fears of the material world, put them off to the side, or make them real small, and make Krishna real big. So we'll end there. I apologize that we're over time, so we didn't get to ask questions just in general. Please forgive me, Prabhu. I apologize for... Yes, so if afterwards... Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.